In the last session, we have discussed the long distance transport of water. So, this long distance transportation of water occurs in two different steps. That is, absorption of water and upward movement of water. So, absorption of water is step number 1 and step number 2 is upward movement of water. So, this absorption of water, this absorbed water will be reaching the xylem for the upward movement of water in two different ways. One is the upper-plastic pathway and the other one is the symplastic pathway. So what do you mean by upper-plastic pathway? The absorbed water from the root hairs, they will be reaching to the xylem through, they will be passing through the intercellular spaces, that is through the non-living components. And these water molecules will be moving, they will be reaching to the xylem by the forces called as cohesion and adhesion forces. So due to cohesive and adhesive forces, these water molecules will be reaching to the xylem through the intercellular spaces. So cohesion, the cohesive forces in the sense, see, if the water molecules are moving like this, there will be a mutual force of attraction in between these water molecules, and that water molecules, so the force of attraction which exists in between the water molecules is called as cohesive force. And due to that, this water molecule will be, these water molecules, they will be in the form of continuous chain. There will be no break in that continuous chain of water due to the cohesive force of the water molecules. And also adhesive force we can come into, we can see the existence of adhesive force also. So adhesive force in the sense, water molecules will be attached to the, it will be attached to the inner walls of the xylem here. So that is called as adhesive force. We shall speak about this later in detail. Okay, so due to cohesive and adhesive forces, there will be a continuous chain of water existing during the absorption of water, and thus symplastic and upper-plastic pathways, these are the two pathways by which the absorbed water will be reaching the xylem. So this is the step number 1 which we have already recalled in the last session, and now we shall recall how the upward movement of water take place. See, upward movement of water is also called as ascent of sap. So it is also called as ascent of sap. That means the upward movement of water. So this ascent of sap or upward movement of water inside the plant, it is affected by various factors like root pressure and transpiration pull. Like root pressure and transpiration pull. So these are the different factors which affects the ascent of sap inside the plants. See, what do you mean by root pressure and transpiration pull? First we shall speak about the root pressure. So root pressure, see, you people know that there are many ions present inside the soil. See, if this is the root, I have just taken a cross section of root, and here somewhere arises a thin thread like structure called as root hairs, and this is the epidermis, and then here comes cortex, and then stele. Inside the stele comes xylem and phloem. So here I have just indicated xylem to make you people understand. So here in case of soil, the many ions will be present. So these ions will be taken up by the root hairs by active transport. You people know what is active transport. So pumping of ions against the concentration gradient with the utilization or expenditure of energy against the concentration gradient is called as active transport. And these ions will be reaching to the xylem, and from here it will be reaching to the various parts of the plant body. And then, so after the ions reaches the xylem, it is followed by the water also. See, water is also absorbed by the root hairs, and through two different processes it will be reaching the xylem. So when water reaches the xylem continuously, so when water is absorbed continuously by the root hairs and water reaches the xylem continuously, what happens inside the xylem? So inside the xylem, a positive pressure increases. So positive pressure in the sense, the pressure which pushes water upwards is called as a positive pressure. And this positive pressure which is created inside the xylem due to the continuous absorption of water is called as the root pressure. So what do we call for that? that is called as a root pressure. See what happens when we continuously, so what happens when, say for example, there is a water pipe. So what happens when there is a continuous movement of water inside the pipe? So it leaks out. If the pipe is like this also, it is towards upwards also, there the water arises in this column, right? So there will be a pushing force arising from here, right? In the same way, the same thing happens here also. When there is a continuous absorption of water by the root hairs from the soil, this absorbed water will be reaching the xylem. So as a result, what happens, there will be a pushing force created inside the xylem, and this pushing force, due to this pushing force, water will be rising in this column upwards, and that is called as root pressure. So the positive hydrostatic pressure which is created inside the xylem is called as root pressure. And due to the root pressure, what happens to the water? It arises inside the water column. So inside the xylem water, it moves upwards. So this is called as the root pressure. This root pressure is responsible for pushing the water upwards to a small heights in the stem. So when the plants are very small in nature, this root pressure is enough for pushing up the water inside the stem. And what is the main function of this root pressure in the sense? So here it is helpful in re-establishing the continuous change of water molecules in the xylem. So when there is a pushing force, it maintains the continuous columns of water inside the xylem. So this is the significance of the root pressure, and thus as it is continuous in nature, there will be no breakage in the water columns occurring inside the xylem. So to show you the root pressure, we can demonstrate by taking a small herbaceous plant. Early in the morning when we cut, see here, if this is the plant and here the roots are present. When we take this herbaceous plant and early in the morning and cut here, that is near the roots, we can find the presence of water gushing out from the stem. So this is an example for root pressure. See, during night times what happens, there will be a continuous absorption of water, and thus inside this xylem there will be a development of positive pressure, and as a result, when you cut the stem near the roots early in the morning, what happens, there will be water oozing out, and this can be collected by placing a tube, and we can study what are the materials present in this. So in this water we can find the presence of certain impurities also, because it is present inside the xylem, isn't it? So that is about the root pressure. And also this root pressure also, it results in the process called as guttation. So what do you mean by guttation? Guttation is nothing but the exudation of water in the form of liquid drops through the hydatodes of the plant is called as guttation, or simply the loss of water in the form of water droplets from the tip or margins of the leaves of herbaceous plants is called as guttation. See, when you people observe certain plants early in the morning, like balsam, Shanka Pushpa anta heli karitevalva, that one. So when you look at the tips of this, there will be the small water droplets attached to them, even onto the grasses. So like this. So these are the water droplets. And the loss of water in the form of water droplets through the openings called as hydatodes, it is called as guttation, and this gutated water is impure. It is impure in nature. Why it is impure in nature? Because this will be containing amino acids, water will be present, certain ions will be present, and salts will also be present, along with which dust will also be present, and thus gutated water, it is impure in nature. And guttation, it is the result of root pressure. Why? Because during night times what happens, there will be no loss of water from the leaves, but continuous absorption of water takes place, As a result, inside the xylem, a positive hydrostatic pressure develops, which results in the loss of water through these small openings called as hydrothodes, and this loss of water in the form of water droplets. Here water will be lost in the form of water droplets, and this loss of water in the form of water droplets through the hydrothodes is called as guttation. And guttated water is always impure in nature. Why it is impure in nature? So this guttated water, along with water, amino acids, ions, dust, everything will be accumulated in this water, and thus it is impure in nature. So this is about the root pressure. Root pressure is nothing but the positive pressure, hydrostatic pressure, which is developed inside the xylem of a plant is called as the root pressure. And there is one more factor that affects the upward movement of water, that is the transpiration pull. So what do you mean by transpiration pull? The suction force developed in xylem of plants due to the process of transpiration from the leaves is called as transpiration pull. So before going to the transpiration pull, I'll speak about the transpiration. See, these are the leaves, and these leaves, they will be having small openings called as stomata, and from the stomata there will be an evaporative loss of water, so that is called as transpiration. What do you mean by transpiration? The loss of water in the form of water vapor, through the minute openings of the leaves are called as stomata. So this process of loss of water in the form of water vapor, don't get confused. So if water is lost in the form of water vapor through the stomata, so that is called as transpiration. As water is lost in the form of water vapor, this transpirated water is pure in nature. So it is pure in nature. And due to this continuous loss of water from the leaves, it results in the suction force created inside the xylem. And that suction force which is created inside the xylem, which results in the upward movement of water, is called as transpiration pull. So what do we call it as? We call it as the transpiration pull. So now let us know how this transpiration pull is created inside the xylem. See, this is anatomy of the leaf. It is the anatomy of dicot leaf. So this is the upward cells, barrel cells. So it is nothing but the epidermis. And then comes the photosynthetic cells, mesophyll cells. And then here comes the spongy parenchyma cells. And this is the stele. So this is xylem and this is phloem. You all know that xylem, it is involved in the conduction of water. Phloem is involved in the conduction of food materials. So these are the palisade parenchyma, which are closely arranged, and palisade parenchyma are closely arranged towards the dorsal surface of the leaf, and towards the ventral surface spongy parenchyma are present with large intercellular spaces. So here you can find the presence of large intercellular spaces. And in these mesophyll cells, so we call the chlorophyll cells. So chlorophyll containing, chloroplast containing parenchyma cells of leaves are called as mesophyll cells. What do we call for them? They are called as mesophyll cells. So here towards the dorsal surface we can find the presence of palisade parenchyma. They are compactly arranged without any intercellular spaces. But towards the ventral side of the leaves, towards the downward side of the leaf, here these cells are loosely arranged with larger intercellular spaces. And this is the lower epidermis, and these lower epidermis will be having minute openings called as stomata. So we call it as stomata. See, I told you there will be a loss of water in the form of water vapor through the stomata, and this process is called as transpiration. So this process is called as transpiration. So as soon as water is lost from the mesophyll tissues, here the water potential becomes low when compared to the mesophyll tissues. See, there are intercellular spaces present here. First, there will be water present here. So when the water which is present in the intercellular spaces, it evaporates into the atmosphere in the form of water vapor. So now the water which is present in this intercellular space has been transpirated, that is, it has been lost in the form of water vapor. So that process is called as transpiration. As a result, when water is lost, so here what happens? Here water potential inside the intercellular places, it reduces. Water potential will be more in these mesophyll tissues, and thus water will be drawn from the mesophyll tissues into the intercellular spaces. So what happens when water is drawn from the mesophyll tissues into the intercellular spaces? Inside this mesophyll tissues, now the water potential, it drops. So when the water potential drops inside the mesophyll tissues, now these mesophyll tissues, they will get their water from the xylem. So from where this will suck the water, so these mesophyll tissues, they will get their water from the xylem. And from the xylem, water will be moved towards the mesophyll tissues. And you people know xylem, they will be arranged all over the stem until the roots it will be present. So assume this as root. And the water molecules which are present here in the xylem, so when water potential decreases in this part of xylem, now there will be a negative force which is pulling the water here. So now what this does, so when the water potential becomes less in this region, so now water will be drawn from this part of the xylem into this part of the xylem. And this negative pressure will be effective till the roots. So this is the root. And now what happens? Now this water which is present in the root xylem is now pulled by this xylem. So water moves from here to here. And thus there will be a negative force which is created, and this negative force will be effective till the roots. So as a result, again what happens? Water will be absorbed from the soil into the roots. And it is just the suction force which is created due to the loss of water in the form of water vapor, and the suction force is called as transpiration pull, or it is also negative force. It is also a negative force. So this negative force is also called as suction force, and this suction force is also called as the transpiration pull. And due to this transpiration pull or negative force which is created in the mesophyll tissues, it is involved in the uptake of water or suction of water from the regions of their higher water potentials. So water, it have again I'll go through this. So water has been lost from the intercellular spaces, so it needs water. So now due to that, a negative force will be created in this intercellular space. As a result, so this negative force sucks the water from the surrounding mesophyll tissues, and again here when water it moves from mesophyll tissues into the intercellular spaces, again water will be sucked from the xylem, and from xylem which is present in the stem, so from here water reaches, and again when water is sucked from here from the xylem of stem, again the suction force will be effective till the roots. So when again suction force is effective here, what happens? Due to this suction force, when water is again moved upwards, so these root hairs are involved in the absorption of more and more water, because water will be in a continuous chain without any breakage in the middle. So from the root hairs till the intercellular spaces of the leaves, water will be having a continuous column of water, and thus if by chance due to the suction force, if by chance somewhere here if the water chain breaks, root pressure comes into the rescue. So root pressure, it pushes the water inside the xylem upwards, so that again that connection it re-establishes. And this is how the transpiration pull it will be working, and due to which there will be a continuous column. See, one more diagram I have focused. So this is one more diagram. So this is the leaves. When water is lost in the form of water vapor, from here, so it draws water from the mesophyll tissues, and mesophyll tissues will draw the water from xylem, which is present in the midrib of leaves. Again, it draws water from the petiole. So xylem is present all along the length of the plant. You people know that. And again, water from the stem will be absorbed from here, and then water from the roots are pulled upwards, and then water which is present in the soil will also be absorbed due to this continuous pull. And due to the presence of this transpiration pull only, water will be moving upwards inside the plants, which are hundreds of meters height in nature. And to that hundreds of meters height, only due to the transpiration pull, water will be moving to the it will be reaching to the that heights of the plant body. And the transpiration, it is a driven ascent of xylem sap, depends mainly on certain physical properties of water. See, this transpiration, it is a driven ascent of sap, xylem sap I told you. So water will be, it will be maintaining a continuous column due to the certain physical properties of water, like cohesion property of water, adhesion property of water, surface tension. So these are the properties. Along with that, other two properties are also there, like tensile strength as well as the capillarity of the water. So these are the different physical properties due to which there will be a continuous column of water which is running all along the length of the plant body without any breakage of the water column, and thus there will be the ascent of sap occurring. So what are the properties that are involved in the ascent of sap? That is cohesion, adhesion, surface tension, tensile strength as well as capillarity of the water. What do you mean by cohesion? As I told you, it is nothing but the mutual force of attraction that exists in between the water columns. So I'll draw a xylem here just to make you understand. So I have drawn this xylem. So it is quite big in nature, but it will not be so big in the plants. Okay. So to differentiate, here I have written, say for example, these are the water molecules. So these are the water molecules which are being pulled up due to the transpiration pull. And when they are pulling up, so see, there will be a mutual force of attraction present in between these water molecules. And this mutual force of attraction is called as cohesion or cohesive property of water. And what do you mean by adhesion? So it is nothing but an attraction of water molecules to polar surfaces. So what do you mean by that? This is the xylem wall. See, this is the xylem wall, and there will be a mutual force of attraction for these water molecules towards the xylem wall, so that water will not fall off inside the xylem. So as a result, as there is a force of attraction between the water molecules and inner wall of xylem, so that is called as adhesive property of water. So xylem wall, it is lignified, you people know that, and due to this adhesive property of water, it maintains the water column inside the xylem length. So inside the xylem element, it maintains the water column. And what do you mean by surface tension? See, water molecules are attracted to each other in the liquid phase more than to in the gaseous phase. So when water is present in the liquid state, see, just for example, like this I will write. So this is the cross section of xylem, assume that. So when we look at the cross section, here when we look at the water molecules in the surface, see, water molecules will be having the force of attraction in between them. So this force of attraction between the water molecules is more when water is in its liquid state than in gaseous state. Why? Because in gaseous state, the molecules are present and far away from each other when compared to the liquid state. So as a result, in the liquid state, water molecules will be having more mutual force of attraction, and that is called as surface tension of water. And these all properties like cohesion, adhesion and surface tension, these three properties together, they give water high tensile strength. So what do you mean by high tensile strength? It is an ability to resist a pulling force. See, I told you there will be a pulling force existing all along the length of the plant. So from here it starts. So there will be a pulling force which starts at the leaf, and this will be effective till the roots. So till the roots, and due to the strong pulling force, there might be a chance that there will be a breakage of water column. But this does not occur due to all these properties, and thus the property which gives high that is tensile strength, that is the ability to resist the pulling force. So the ability of the water molecules to resist the pulling force so that water column will not break, so that is called as the high tensile strength. So that is called as high tensile strength. Say for example, when you take a small thread, single thread, and you try to hang 1 kg weight, what happens? This thread or this string, it cannot bear that much of weight, so that it will tear apart. But when you take a strong thread, when you take a strong rope, and when you try to hang 1 kg of weight, what happens? This has the capacity to overcome the weight pulling here. So here this rope will not break, right? So in the same way, here also what happens inside the water column, due to the most high pulling force, there is a chance of break in the water column, but this does not occur due to the tensile strength. So that is the ability to resist the pulling force. And also high capillarity, that is the ability to rise in thin tubes. So these water molecules has the capacity to rise in the thin tubes. See, for example, let me give you an example. When you take 2 straws, so one straw will be narrow in diameter and the other one will be having large diameter. So which straw would you like to use to drink the given juice or something faster? So you should opt for this narrow diameter having straw. Why? Because in this, water molecules or straw or any liquid molecules, it will move at a higher speed when compared to this. Why? Because it has lesser diameter than this. As a result, the ability to rise in the thin tubes is called as capillarity, and due to the capillarity also, water will be moving inside the xylem at a faster rate. So this is about the transpiration pull. So I told you, so we were discussing about the long distance of transport in the last session and this session. So this long distance of transport, it occurs in 2 different steps. Step number 1 is the absorption of water, and step number 2 is upward movement of water. So this upward movement of water, it is affected by certain factors like root pressure and transpiration pull. Root pressure, so in smaller, the plants which grows only over certain meters height, in them just root pressure is enough. It is enough for the ascent of sap. But how about in the larger, longer angiosperms? So in such angiosperms, transpiration pull, due to the transpiration pull, there will be the upward movement of water. So upward movement of water will be taking place, that too about 15 meters per hour. So water will be it will be traveling about 15 meters per hour against the gravity due to the presence of this transpiration pull. And this transpiration pull, it is actually the proposed theory. It was proposed by Dickson and Joly in the year 1894, and it is the only accepted physical theory to explain the mechanism of ascent of sap. So this transpiration pull theory is also called as cohesion tension theory. So as I told you, it all depends upon the physical properties of water like cohesion, adhesion, surface tension, tensile strength, as well as capillarity.